Welcome back to Taekwondo Legends. It's the Kman here for TKD Performance Tips. I'm in London at the moment, and this is my little gym in the hotel room. I'm just doing a bit of final preparation for the World Championships, the Unified World Taekwondo Championships in London. And I'm having a bit of an easy session today, and that brings to my point for today's tips, is looking about sessions and how hard you should go. Now, I'm a firm believer that when you train, that you put 100% in. For example, if I'm going to be training, I will never have any easy sessions. They're always going to be good quality sessions. I'd rather a shorter quality session than a longer quantity session that compromises quality. But when you look at Taekwondo and you're putting an effort in, it does put a fair bit of strain on the joints of the body and the tendons of the body, particularly not in the execution of the punch, but in the deceleration and the stabilisation of the joint at the end of the punch. So if I do even simple things as such as blocks, and I'm putting an effort in, coming through, now I'm putting a huge effort through my joints because I'm accelerating through the block, and at the end I have to decelerate in that last millisecond to hold the block into place. And that's going to put a lot of, how can you put stress and strain, good stress and strain, on the smaller stabilising muscle groups of the joints. If I'm doing a typical punch, for example, and the strain is right at the end, at the tendon of the bicep, also the locking out of the elbow joint, as well as the protraction of the shoulder joint to execute the punch, to get that full acceleration, that full range, rather than shortening the punch up. I want to accelerate it and express the full range of the movement. The challenge with that is that it needs a bit of conditioning to be able to stabilise that joint and protect the joint at the end range of movement. Even if I'm sparring and I'm shooting that jab, right, I'm really extending the arm and the shoulder to put stress on the joints. And that comes to the point of, if you're going to put strain on the joints and the tendons, and they're going to be the two areas of the body that will tend to wear and tear: tendinitis, joint degeneration, osteoarthritis. These are things can compromise yourself in the future. So you've got to look after your joints, and you have to look after your tendons. Now, being half a century of age, being 50 years of age, I'm full aware of this because in my early years I used to just train like a crazy madman and train every day and push through the pain. No pain, no gain. What you'll find in your later mature years of Taekwondo is that pain will lead to greater pain, not so much in muscular pain, but in arthritic pain, pain in the tendinitis, osteitis, plantar fasciitis, bursitis, you name the itis, it will happen to you in your second half of your life. And if you've got a long career in Taekwondo, you have to train smart, not just in the second half of your life, but in the first half of your life to preserve those joints for the second half. So what I'm going to ask you to do is that when you're training, yes, put in quality sessions in your training session, but if you feel that your joints are starting to get a bit niggly or achy and painy, then maybe it's good to have a bit of time off, 1 or 2 days off. Sometimes I feel if my hamstrings are tight, and no matter how much I stretch, that they tend to get tighter. That means you probably don't need 1 day off, probably a good 2 days off. Just let the body fully regenerate and recuperate for your next training session. So the main point of today is to listen to your body. Even if you're young, yes, you can push through it, but I'm assuming that if you're young and doing Taekwondo, you can see yourself in the long term as a competitive Taekwondo participant, or at least participating in Taekwondo, and you don't want to be, how can you say, anchored or hindered by lots of these injuries that you don't understand that you will get in your second half of your life. So minimising by listening to your body, understanding that yes, you're young, you can get away with it when you're young, but if you don't recover, the accumulation effect of all those, whether it be lots of jabs or, traditional techniques where you really throw your joints into full extension at maximum acceleration, if you don't let those joints recover and you don't let those tendons recover, you may find you may have some possible challenges in the second half of your Taekwondo career. As I have, because I have lots of challenges, physical, not just the psychological, but I have tendinitis in both bicep tendinitis. I have medial epicondylitis, lateral epicondylitis, I have a subluxed right shoulder, shoulder tendinitis, impingement of the supraspinatus in the left shoulder, not to mention the rest of the challenges I have in my body. So I really have to time my training sessions and make sure I get the time of recovery between training sessions. I was asked the other day when in regards to patterns, one of the competitors says, oh, you must do patterns every day. I said, no, I don't, because if I did them every day, I think after about 2 weeks, my joints would just pack it in. I do my pattern training probably 2, maximum 3 times a week, and that's enough stress on my body. And I do spar training probably 2, maximum 3 times a week, and they tend to be shorter sessions, and I'd rather shorter with more effort rather than just accumulation of a high quantity of training, which will tend to give you what you call repetitive strain injuries. And I don't want that on you, because I'm sure your heart is Taekwondo and your heart and your mind's in Taekwondo, but I want to make sure that you keep your body in Taekwondo, because as soon as your body packs it in, your mind starts to go, oh God, this is too hard. Look after your body. Even when you're young, yes, you can get away with it when you're 20, and you can probably still get away when you're 30, but those little cracks in the arm will probably start to happen when you're about 40. When you get to my age, 50, you start to, oh my goodness. And I talk to a lot of veteran Taekwondo participants, and yes, they're always battling these accumulative repetitive strain injuries, which they probably started to get without realising it when they were 20, and they just accumulated to when they got the, how can you say, the symptoms when they were 40. It's like smoking. When you smoke at 20, you don't get lung cancer when you're 20, but if you keep smoking, you will increase your chance of cancer when you get to 40 and 50. How do you get cancer at 40, 50? Well, it started when you were 20. So if you're 20 and young and fresh and you want a long-term career in Taekwondo, look after your joints, because most of the injuries you'll get and the things that will hinder your Taekwondo, they might be muscular, like in the muscle belly, they'll be more tendon, they'll be joint, they'll be ligament, they'll be cartilage, they'll be meniscus. So all of those are more of the articulating surfaces in the joints. So make sure you look after your joints. Yes, you have to express maximal force if you're sparring or if you're doing patterns, but you understand how to do that, and you can condition your body to withstand those forces, but you also have to make sure that you give your body time to recover in between training sessions. So don't just do patterns every day, maybe patterns one day, sparring the next day, then a day off. I tend to never do more than 2 days in a row of training before I have at least 1 day off, and at least probably every week I'll have 2 days off at the end of the week. And along the way I listen to my body. If I feel that my joints are a bit achy, I say, okay, I'm going to give myself another day off. Make sure you differentiate between, hey, I need time off versus, hey, I'm just lazy. I need time off because my body needs recovery versus I need time off because I'm just lazy. So you've got to differentiate between that. And sometimes you will be a bit iggly. Once you warm up, you're okay. But if you find that those strains start to enhance and start to get worse, then make sure you have some time off, some nice passive stretching, and just maybe a little light cardio, get lots of blood flow through there, doing activities that aren't putting in further stresses on the joints. Because I want you to have a long-term career, not just in Taekwondo, but as an active life. And it's very hard to have an active life if all your joints have been hindered. It's very hard to drive the car if the axle and the wheels of the car are completely worn out. You can't drive it anywhere. And unlike a car you can always replace the wheel if it wears out, the tread wears out, the brake pads wear out. You can always replace them in the car, but it's very hard to replace them in the body. And yes, people do have hip replacements and they do have surgery, but they never seem to be the same after. Let's avoid that altogether. Listen to your body, train smart, train with quality, not always quantity, good quality. It's like I've learned in golf. It's better to hit 50 balls really well with lots of focus and concentration than 200 balls that not very well, because it's going to create poor habits and a lot of wear and tear in your joints. Protect your joints, because they're the things that's going to hinder your future in Taekwondo, because it's a very active, as you know, very active martial art which expresses lots of ranges of movement. To keep that range, you need healthy joints. Look after the joints, look after you, and remember, live life with no regrets, put in 100% or nothing at all. Taekwondo.